Some of these men are the worst PR for marriage, and many of them need to be lonelier, and they don't deserve to have families. And that's the reason why I will continue to say, let the birth rate plummet to hell. This woman posted in the True Off My Chest subreddit. She says, I wish I hadn't married my husband or had a baby with him. Now, this very first paragraph speaks to the red flags. And this is the reason why I do the work that I do. I want us to see these red flags. I want us to talk about these red flags and say, absolutely not. I will not accept that. And I don't mean that to disparage this young lady for disregarding the red flags. I do not mean that we need to jump on this woman for disregarding the red flags. I want this to be a cautionary tale for us going forward, because yes, she already knows that she should have ran away. So we don't need to dogpile on this particular woman. We're using this as a teaching tool for the next woman and for our daughters and for the other young ladies in our lives. And actually even for the older ladies in our lives. We're going to talk about red flags to the point where we're using that as a teaching tool, not to disparage this woman. So let's go ahead and get into her post. She says, 2 weeks before I married my husband, he got super drunk and called me a B word and said he hated me. I should have ran away at that point, but I loved him. And the next morning he sobbed and told me that he didn't even remember any of it and that he loves me more than anything. He stopped drinking for a month or so, then he started again. So I want women to get to the point where they love themselves more than they love these dudes or being in these relationships. Had she loved herself more than she loved that man, she would have bounced. So I want us to get to the point where we love ourselves more than we love the concept of being in one of these relationships. Let's continue. A year after that, he got drunk and tried to kiss my best friend in front of me. He completely went sober after that, admitting he had a problem. A year and a half later, he's still sober. We now have a daughter together. He is the provider. I stay home with our daughter. My choice. I have a degree and can make my own money if ever needed. I knew this meant I would be the primary parent. However, I didn't know this meant I would be the only parent. He does not change diapers. He does not comfort her when she cries. He does not even play with her. She is 7 months old. He will smile at her when she's laughing or hold her when I need to shower or make dinner. But the second she gets fussy, he gets visibly irritated and hands her off to me the second he can. He says he loves her, but makes no effort to actually build a bond with her. When he holds her, he's scrolling on his phone, not actually paying any attention to her. Then when she inevitably gets fussy from him not even bothering to look at her, he says she hates him. On top of this, while I am the one taking care of her and soothing her, he gets upset and says that I don't give him any attention. Every night after I put our daughter to sleep, I will rub his back or his legs. But in the time it takes me to get her down, he complains that all my attention goes to the baby. When I ask why I always have to be the one to give, why he never bothers to give me attention by rubbing my back or cuddling me or anything, he ignores me or just says that I never ask. I tell him all the time how handsome he is. He never compliments me. I ask him if I look nice. He will say, yeah. I ask why he never tells me I look pretty. He will say, when was the last time you complimented me? I will give him, like, for examples. He will just go on his phone and abandon the conversation. I have asked him lately if he loves me because it genuinely feels like he doesn't. I asked him if he even likes me. He swears he does. Then he tells me that I don't like him. Honestly, I don't like him right now. I don't like that he comes home every day in a terrible mood. He's a teacher. He's not out there slaving away in any way that would make it understandable for him to come home acting like he's been to war. I don't like that he makes no effort to be involved with our daughter. I don't like that I'm expected to feed our baby, feed him, have his laundry done, have the house clean, and pamper him with rubs and love and get nothing in return. I find myself constantly fantasizing about another life, one where my husband is excited to see me, excited to see his daughter, and grateful for the meals I make. I wish I had just walked away those years ago. These dudes are the reason why women are the way they are. These dudes are the reason why so many women are saying after one baby, they're done. This is the reason why so many women, after they get out, after this woman, this type of woman gets out of this type of relationship, she's no longer interested in relationships because she'll be like, been there, done that, never going to do that again. And women are getting to that point quicker and quicker where they're like, that tolerable level of permanent unhappiness is not so permanent anymore. These people, the men will put women in the category of a wife appliance. She's expected to do all of these things for her. And how dare the dishwasher think that I'm going to compliment the dishwasher? How dare the washer and dryer think I'm going to, like, he sees this woman as a utility. And many of the men simply see the women in their lives as a utility. They see them as a wife appliance. You're simply here to serve them. And there doesn't need to be a two-way street because you're simply a utility to him. Up Down Clown says the best time to have walked away from him was then. The second best time is now. Start planning your exit. Interesting Novel says, yep, start planning your exit. The daughter deserves better. Their daughter definitely deserves better. She deserves to see a healthy relationship or at least have a healthy mother, because right now this is not healthy for her to witness as a foundational relationship. This isn't healthy. This isn't loving. This isn't supportive. Long Jumping says something about, and you both get to counseling. You have to co-parent and he needs help. He needs help, but he has to want to need help. Lady Mystery says, if you don't, you're going to teach your child that this is okay. And who he was when you first met him was a lie. This is who he is. West Evening says, I spent my youngest years with parents that stayed together for the kid. Do yourself and your daughter a favor and start your exit strategy. She's going to see, hear, and feel the neglect, negativity, anger, and sadness. Don't do that to either of you. Chopstick Insect says, girl, is this what you want your daughter to think love is? Psychological Hat says, okay, first, what he does not fall on you. Second, if you're not ready to give up, it's time for marriage counseling. Third, if you're being abused in any way, physically, emotionally, or sexually, you need to run. A child being raised around and experiencing abuse is worse than not having a father. One is genuinely traumatic. Fourth and finally, if he is depressed or having any kind of emotional issues, he needs to see a professional ASAP, because this sounds extreme. If that is depression or anything like it, maybe just like it. And that's a big enough flip from his normal that you're concerned about it. But the thing is, like, even when you start talking about therapy, a lot of times when men talk about therapy, it's just like to try to trigger a woman or something. But when women talk to men about it, these dudes are not receptive to it. They don't want to. They have to really hit rock bottom. So he might not even be receptive to it. But regardless, this woman needs to get her child away from this situation. I did chime in on this post. I said he's reduced you to a wife appliance. You're a utility. You're here to serve him. He's not going to compliment you. That's like complimenting your washer or dryer. You serve a purpose and will be disposable if you stop being useful. This is one of the reasons why she needs to get back into the workforce right now. She does, because he's going to eventually get worse. He's going to get worse and worse and worse, period, because he's like this with their child and the baby isn't even 1 year old. She needs to exit before the baby even gets attached to this man or tries to get attached or learns how to navigate his moods, because that's what we start doing early on. And that's how people become people pleasers. All right, y'all, join the conversation. Let me know what you think about this one. Remember, this is a cautionary tale and a learning tool, not a reason to jump on this woman because she did not run away at the first or second or third red flags. She didn't run away, but now her eyes are open. But like I said, this is a learning tool for the next woman. I love everything about this woman's post. It's about being clear in your communication about things that you like and dislike. It's about having boundaries. And like I said, this is about dating. So if you are with somebody who crosses those boundaries, you cross those people off of your dating list, because dating is exclusionary. Everybody is not going to pass the test, and that's fine. But this woman, she clearly communicated what she liked, disliked, and she left that dude alone, and she talks about it right here. So we're going to jump into it, because this is a masterclass really quickly in a Threads post. Looks like her name is Jasmine. So she says, I ran into a guy I was dating a few months ago while I was out last night. I blocked him, so I haven't heard from or seen him since. One of the first things out of his mouth was, "Are you in a relationship?" I lied and said yes, then tried to keep it moving. He stopped me again and said he wanted to clarify, or maybe he wanted clarity on why we stopped talking. He said he felt he was doing everything right, but I would always find something wrong. I am so serious when I say this. The men that act confused or clueless, like they were blindsided after a relationship ends, never take accountability for the BS they do. On our very first date, I told him I love sunflowers and lilies, never received flowers. He tried several times to push past my boundaries and come to my house. He got very angry when I told him I don't cook for men I'm dating. There was a time we went out and he was so rude to the staff that was working the event, I had to turn around and apologize. I had never been so embarrassed. He would use silent treatment as punishment if he didn't like my response to things. Then, to top it all off, he surprised me with a meet and greet with his mom. Why on earth would I want to meet your mom? She says, I voiced how I felt every single time, but I told him it was not going to work, then blocked. Now here he is a few months later wondering where we went wrong. I looked at him and said, don't piss me off, and made a clean exit. I love everything about this. They were dating. She gave him opportunities. And the thing is, with women these days, women are not so pressed. They're not so desperate, because we have our own finances. We have financial independence. And this is one of the reasons why they want to roll back women's financial independence, because they don't want women to walk away simply because these dudes are mean to staff, just because they want to push past your boundaries, just because you tell them something like, I like lilies, and they ignore it. Like nowadays, these men are going to have to actively listen to what women are saying and then act like they're interested in these women. Novel concept, I know, but these dudes will either adapt or not. And like I said, I loved everything about this. Again, I read all of this before I read the comments. And because this woman was clear, she had boundaries, and she let this man alone, I knew that there were going to be some emotional men in the comment section. And they were in there. They were totally in there. They did not disappoint. But let's go ahead and look at some of these comments, because the women are sitting up here clapping. Well, most of them. There is a pick me in the comments, but the dudes are like, ah. So let's get into some of the comments. So this is a woman right here named Hiya Dom. She says, maybe this is my teacher brain, or maybe y'all just don't have one. She literally said he tried to ignore her boundaries several times during the date. That literally shows he did not respect her. Lying to him about being in a relationship was likely to protect herself, because he didn't respect her. So perhaps he would F off if he knew another man was involved. Are y'all dumb, or are you dumb? Connect the dots, folks. F the flowers and meals. This is what they mean by 6th grade reading level. My God. And here I come in saying men do not like boundaries. And I love how they're windmilling in the comments. They are upset in the comments at this woman. I love that so many women are getting to the point of not even tangentially entertaining these men's BS. So this woman, Old School Lover, says, Girl, I'm just going to block these ignorant males. After she said he tried to push past her boundaries and come to her house, there was nothing else to be said. He has no respect for her, and like someone else said, he would eventually start abusing her. These males are clueless AF and have no idea what it's like to be a woman. I don't think that they're clueless. I think that they know exactly what women go through because they put women through these things. They just don't want us talking about it, and they just want us to accept it or whatnot. Hayadam responds with, "Cause what the F is they talking about? LOL, it's right there." Teacher talk. She says, "I can tell who would have struggled with level 2 to 4 of depth of knowledge questions in my classroom. Cause how my middle schoolers outdoing y'all right now?" I will say this, men could learn from women's comment sections, but they choose not to. Like this woman says this right here. Uniquely Goldie Boutique says, exactly. It's not about flowers or cooking, it's about boundaries. He pushed hers multiple times and she protected herself how she saw fit. That's survival, not deception. They seem to be missing the whole point because reading comprehension is clearly not their ministry. If he didn't respect her boundaries, flew over their heads, maybe they should revisit that 6th grade ELA workbook. Men could learn, like men could come into our comment section and learn about what women like and dislike, but they don't choose to. They choose to come into the comment section just to argue. Sexy in the City says it's the latter. The brain is never present when they jump on Al Gore's internet trying to argue. Okay, the men have arrived. All right, now we have a man, and we will return after a brief mansplanation. Here we have Tony starting with girls. He's in a grown woman's comment section saying, "Girls, stop using the fake 'I'm in a relationship' line. A man shouldn't only stop pursuing if he knows you're another man's property. Guys, you're doing this to yourself. Stop normalizing it." Because what should happen is amazing. Like, yes, men should stop. Men should listen. But she already knows that he pushes past boundaries. So this is self-preservation. Jasmine simply says to Tony, "Okay." Rihanna says, "Men like to believe they are entitled to whatever they want. I hope you never see that red flag of a man again." Now, the villain, another man at the bottom, says, "Wait. If he likes being cooked for and she likes flowers and both don't do either, isn't it fair game?" So regardless, both of them could have stopped talking to each other if they saw that they were incompatible. She just stopped talking to him first. I Am Golden Boy says, "Question, do you believe that accountability is a two-way street? I understand his shortcomings, but based on your comments, it doesn't seem like the word compromise is in your vocabulary." Compromise on what? He was being rude to her. He pushed past her boundaries. What compromise is there in that? Then the pro-human says, "Child, please stop. Worry about yourself." And then Jasmine says to I Am Golden Boy, "It is in my vocabulary. I was placed in compromising situations, which led me to believe we weren't a match." There you go. I love how she is talking to these men. I said to her, "I absolutely love everything about this post and how you handled that man. I also love the hysterical men's in your comments, aghast that you have the nerve to have boundaries, voice your concerns, and leave that incompatible man alone. This is a life lesson, and I'm going to share this with my network." And I said, "And you're gorgeous." This is the reason why I said she's gorgeous, because she is, in fact, gorgeous. We have a man. This is Will. Will says, "You're both to blame. You're a whole problem too. You don't communicate well. That's obvious. The man literally told you he thought he was doing right, but you were nitpicking. You lied to his face. That right there tells me you don't communicate well. Yet you gripe about a man taking accountability. The man wanted clarity to fix his issues. You ran, which tells me that you are clueless as to how to fix issues. You telling him you love flowers isn't telling him to buy you flowers." So this part right here, the man wanted clarity to fix his issues. Women are not here to fix men's issues. They better get a clue and adapt, or just keep getting left behind. We have a pick-me that jumps in saying, many women are like this. Not me, though. Many women are like this. They'll lie, then wonder why they're being lied to, then take zero accountability. She says, if something like this was to happen to me, I'll be upfront and explain my actions. I also feel like the block button gives some women a sense of power, LOL. Why block a person when you can just say, I'm not interested? I agree with that part. A block button does give a sense of power because it gives you the power to enforce your boundaries, especially when a person pushes past your boundaries. And she did communicate, but I don't believe that all of these people are reading all of the comments under her post. They just took bits and pieces because she explained her actions. You don't have to keep talking until you're blue in the face. They're not compatible. Vicky is saying, laughing my butt off, you so funny. How are you on the man's side? How are you this bothered by a lady telling her story? I see you weren't loved properly ever by a man or your mother. Are you all right, sis? I will say this. I don't believe that you automatically got to take a woman's side because this is a pick-me, and I wouldn't take that woman's side at all because I think that she is flat out wrong. But this is clearly a woman who is male-centered, and she believes that the men deserve more. No, this dude did not deserve anything more than he got. But the thing is, they are not used to women just walking away. Some women are so desperate for the validation of a man that they will be like, you know, pick me, choose me. And that woman is one of those pick me, choose me's. Now, Kev at the bottom says, outside of the point you made, just want to say she's not obligated to take a woman's side because she's a woman. She has a perspective she's allowed to choose her own opinion based on. I agree with that, though. I do believe that she would be the type of woman that would give a man a little bit more leeway than she would offer a woman. And I'm saying that based on her talking to Will. Jasmine is talking to Will right here saying, oh, try that perspective with someone else. This man named Robert, just very boring with his comments saying seek therapy because they don't have anything else. They'll say you're bitter, you're angry, you're just going to end up alone with some cats. And then they use therapy speak as well. You have trauma. Like having boundaries means that you need therapy. These people are wild to me. Lady says, I agree. Only because he wanted clarity and you couldn't even give him that. Instead, you come to threats to tell us. Just tell him to his face that he dropped the ball. It's up to him, and you could have picked it up again. But to not tell him the truth when he's inquiring is manipulation. That's not what manipulation is. People just be using words. That's not manipulation because she's not trying to get anything out of him. She's saying all the, oh, it's nothing will lead him to thinking he's cool. If anything, so the next chick he runs into, he can get the correct flowers. Why can't he just adapt by himself? It's not up to women to teach these people. Most men are not taught how to properly court a woman, and it's not up to this woman who he dropped the ball with to help him correct his mistakes. Latrice says, I almost agreed with you talking to that woman. I almost agreed with you until I went back and reread the whole story. She did tell him about each time there was an issue. That was his clarity. That was his opportunity to listen, engage with what she was saying, and then adapt. Jay the Great says, how is it okay for her to say she doesn't cook for men unless they're dating, but she would feel away if he said he doesn't buy flowers for women unless they're dating? Both of them can pick and choose who they want to continue to engage with. That man still wanted to engage with her. She did not want to continue to engage with him. I had to get to this part. This part was amazing. So Balling Bro Entertainment says, why don't you cook for men you date? She says, I don't want to. That's it. That was the whole answer. I absolutely love that answer. So I said, okay, I stand. I'm making this into a video for my network. This is a master class. Like, she's engaging with these men. She's talking to them, but she's being so curt with them. I absolutely love this. She says, because I don't want to. Bam, that's enough. These are my boundaries, and I'm not explaining to you, Balling Bro Entertainment, Who the F are you? I don't need to explain myself to you. Let me know what you think about this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. This post right here speaks to many of the things that we talk about on a day-to-day basis. This man is a pest that needs to nest and rest. Many of these men need to be lonelier. We've also talked about how young men are falling out of the workforce because they can't find the job of their dreams, so they would rather not work at all. And we've also talked about how men will get in a relationship with a woman and think that he has a servant, even a man that is not working. And once again, women, ladies, do not give your 20s to a man and stop moving in with these people. Stop moving in with these people. They think that you are going to be their servant, even when you're the only one working. All right, now that I have introduced that, I'm going to read this pretty long. Oh, goodness gracious. This dude is all over the place with the excuses. So as I'm reading this, like, highlight the BS, like that's BS. He's lying. He's making excuses. Like, make a comment. So they're both 25. He says, my girlfriend believes I financially abused her and is kicking me out of our home. He says the TLDR. I couldn't find a job throughout all of this year, and my girlfriend believes I was manipulating her into paying all the expenses for us in our house. She kicked me out and I have to move back to my hometown. I have a new job now, but I need advice earning back her trust. This woman is probably done. He says, about a month ago, my girlfriend of 8 years said that she doesn't want to be with me anymore. We've been together since our senior year of high school, been together all throughout college, been on trips together, became a big part of each other's families. Everything was great. We went to different universities initially, but after COVID, she transferred to the school I was attending because it was cheaper and she didn't want to continue with the major she was studying. We lived together all throughout that time and graduated the same year. We moved out of university apartments and into a new apartment together in 2023 and 2024. During 2024, she got a job at Walmart, and I started working as a pizza driver just to get an income. At the end of 2024, I got fired from my pizza job due to some BS reasons. At the beginning of 2025, we bought a cheap single-family home, did some renovations, got a new puppy, and made plans to make a life together. The plan was for me to find a job relating to my degree while she went back to college to do her master's. She continued to work at Walmart while I was job hunting. For the first few months of this year, I struggled to find anything that was related to my degree. So I tried to find any job that would feel remotely satisfying or fulfilling to me. For the most part, I never heard anything back. I submitted 50 to 60 job applications with very little luck. I landed a few interviews, but was either denied a job offer or was disrespected by the interviewers and lost interest in the job. Luckily, I've been working some 1099 contract jobs just to get some supplemental income supplemental income in while she was paying for the mortgage and most of the bills, but it wasn't consistent enough to really keep up with any of our expenses. She recommended I work at Walmart too because Walmart hires pretty much anyone that applies. I declined that because I knew Walmart was not where I wanted to be. The Walmart employees in our town consist of meth heads, teenagers, and people of questionable character, all similar to my pizza delivery job, and I didn't want to be around that again for 40 hours a week. I attempted to be a Spark driver, Walmart's DoorDash, Uber Eats grocery delivery service, but was denied because they wouldn't accept my car insurance and customer support wouldn't help me at all. This whole ordeal of not landing any jobs made me really depressed, and I started to feel worthless. I couldn't provide for my home. I couldn't help provide for my home. I couldn't do my job as the man of the house. The depression ate into my ability to take care of the house while she worked. I slacked on the chores, didn't cook as much, didn't play with the dog as much. I felt stuck, and all I did was sit around doing little bits of chores at a time. I wasn't going to quit the job hunt, but I was still hurting throughout all summer. This is about the time she started to become less intimate and emotionally distant. In the middle of August, we had an argument about how we have differing views about how she wanted stability in life and I wanted a better life experience. She was upset about how I couldn't find any stable job to help with expenses and how I was putting in so much energy into looking for something to satisfy my pride instead of just taking any job that came my way. She, justifiably upset, was paying for everything, eating into her savings, near maxing out her credit card just so we could afford to live. Since I was young, I was always preached to about financial responsibility and how having some money in savings for emergencies is critical in living comfortably. I had about $5,000 in my savings as well as a few hundred in cash saved up from tips from delivering pizzas. The cash I had saved was originally going to a ring for her as I planned on proposing to her once I found the career that would get me established. I offered her the entire stack of cash saying, if we're hurting that bad, I want you to take this and use it however you want to help us get what we need. That was really what solidified her decision. So he was perfectly fine with her eating into her savings and maxing out her credit cards for him, but he couldn't pitch in any way. He couldn't just get a job in the moment at all. You see how selfish and entitled these people are? Okay, let's continue. A few days later, when I came back from working one of my contract jobs, she met me at the door when I walked in and said, I think it's best if we were not together anymore. My girlfriend of 8 years saying this to me made my entire life turn upside down. I didn't know what to think. The shock was overwhelming. The depression that was already eating at me essentially swallowed me up. She said she was going to her mom's for the next week and expected me to be moved out by the end of the week. She took our dog to a boarding house so I couldn't see him. She said that she'd be changing the locks on our house so I couldn't get back in, and said that she would be sending me papers to remove me from the title of the house. Obviously, at that point, I was an emotional wreck. 8 years of being with her, happy, healthy, and passionate, ruined because I couldn't get a job for 8 months. He is disregarding all of the other things that he did right there with that sentence. It was not just because he didn't find a job. He was using her. He was a parasite. He attached to her, and she was the one that was doing everything he was using her time, energy, and resources while providing absolutely nothing. He was a parasite and a liability. She texted me, you financially abused me. You have been taking advantage of me and abusing me. You manipulated me and hurt me beyond repair. I've been trying for almost a whole effing year to love and support you while you spent that time taking advantage of me. Throughout our relationship, she always said that I'd only ever leave you if you beat me or cheated on me. I have never done either, but she believes that my inability to obtain a job and the fact that I was holding on to some money in my savings was the equivalent of me abusing her. She cites my pride getting in the way of our relationship, the fact that I put most of my energy into finding a career that was in line with my degree, and the fact that I didn't want to work fast food or retail anymore, even though I was still applying to those type of positions just to hopefully get an interview. In her words, you wanted a good job. I needed a supportive partner. My needs were not met for so long, and I begged for you to meet them. I'm better off taking care of me, and I don't even hate you for it. I love you, and I feel sorry for you that you would let your pride destroy us because you always have put your pride before me. Wow. Mic drop. I never intended to hurt her. I loved her and still love her with all my heart. I have dedicated almost a third of all of my life to her. I wanted and still want a future with her. I earned her trust because I wanted a good career where I didn't want to be miserable going to work. I was always told if you love your job, you never work a day in your life. I expected that I could obtain that because I'm college educated and have a lot of useful skills. I know the job market and political climate is rough right now, but I don't want to make excuses for myself. I just want to make this right. I'm currently back home and I have a job at a tire shop. I have a good support system of friends and family that have my back and are helping me through this. As much as I hate being back in my hometown, I'm grateful of the blessings I do have. A temporary place to crash, supportive friends and family, a relatively normal social life, and fulfilling hobbies that keep me distracted. All I really want is to win back her favor, and I'm hoping with this new job, I'll be able to prove that I'm capable and responsible enough to take care of our house and earn her trust back. What do you think, reader? Is there any advice you could give me? Is there anything else I could do to win back her trust? I'm still kind of rock bottom because why else would I go to Reddit for advice from strangers? This type of calling out into the unknown thing is out of my comfort zone, so any advice or words of support would be very helpful. Thanks. I don't have any advice for this man except to get his life together, figure out what he did wrong and move on and leave this woman alone. He did so much damage. He was a parasite. He used her and didn't see anything wrong with it. And he still hasn't come to grips with what he's done. He keeps using the fact that he didn't get his perfect job as the reason why she left him. So he has basically burned bridges with that woman, but he can do better for next time. Learn to clean a house, learn how to take care of himself, and learn how to not be a parasite. So Realistic Farmer tagged me in, and I believe that this was a great conversation to have because we see how these men will, turn their whole brains into a pretzel in order to get around all of the things that they've done. This is the only comment that I'm going to do because this got long anyway. Realistic Farmer says they ate his behind right on up. She says Bourbon Bougie, pride gets them every single time. He wanted to be a CEO right out of college. Had he secured a spot at Walmart, the Walmart that was funding his lifestyle, putting food on the table and a roof over his head, he could have changed car insurance to immediately get the driver position. But no, he was blindsided. He was blindsided because he didn't have any kind of sense and he does not deserve to be in a relationship. But y'all join the conversation. Let me know what you think of this. Like, comment, and share.
Men don't care about equality. They only like the idea of equality when it's benefiting them. Because if they actually care about equality, we would have a well-established maternity leave system, not just for women, but for men as well. If they actually care about equality, women wouldn't spend 2.5 times more hours doing unpaid labor and domestic work than men. If they actually care about equality, male contraception and vasectomy would be equally normalized and emphasized, instead of letting women carry most of the medical and physical risks. If they actually care about equality, there wouldn't always be long queues outside of women's toilets. Because of biological and practical differences, women's restroom needs way more floor space to achieve the same efficiency as men's. If they actually care about equality, we would have a strict legal system to punish domestic abusers and serial harassers. There wouldn't be 736 million women, which is almost 1 in 3, who have suffered physical or sexual violence in their lifetime. If they actually care about equality, they would hold other men for accountability. They would call out their guy friends' sexist jokes instead of laughing with them. Superficial equality doesn't mean real fairness. In a system that's already tilted in men's favor, seeing 50-50 still benefits them.